Welcome to our deep dive into the new agreement package between Switzerland and the European Union. Today, we're exploring the big picture, why, the core question, our laws, their rules, sovereignty and law, free movement of persons, our jobs, our salaries, and our social security, and what's in it for us, the economy, new deals, and the billion-franc question.
This sounds like a crucial topic, Alex. Why is this package considered so important right now?
That's a great starting point, Sam. Let's uncover the why behind this significant development. The world around us is changing rapidly with geopolitical and economic uncertainties. For Switzerland, maintaining stable and predictable relations with the EU isn't just beneficial, it's a strategic necessity. So, to give you a clear roadmap, our journey through the Swiss EU agreement package will cover several key areas. We'll start with the big picture, why now? Exploring the necessity of this package in the current global climate.
And then we move on to the specific solutions, I presume. What's the package approach about?
Exactly, Sam. After understanding the why, we'll delve into the package approach itself, looking at how it differs from previous attempts. Then, we'll break down the core components, which include everything from institutional elements like dispute settlement to critical areas like free movement of persons, state aid, and various market access and cooperation agreements. We'll conclude with an overall assessment to highlight the benefits and protections this package offers Switzerland. The world is experiencing eroding certainties, from trade tensions and protectionism to pandemics and war in Europe. Even a strong economy like Switzerland's isn't immune. That's why having stable and predictable relations with the EU is paramount.
So it's about securing Switzerland's economic future amidst global shifts? How significant is the EU to Switzerland economically?
Precisely, Sam. The EU, with its 450 million inhabitants, is Switzerland's most vital trading partner. To put it in perspective, our trade in goods with the EU is 5 times greater than with the USA and 9 times greater than with China. The EU's single market is absolutely essential for Swiss companies to thrive and for our collective prosperity. Serious, Swiss EU policy has always faced a core dilemma. How do we participate in the European project to secure our prosperity and stability while simultaneously preserving Switzerland's unique state characteristics, such as direct democracy and federalism?
That's a classic challenge, isn't it? Like balancing the need for cantonal autonomy with federal laws in Switzerland? What happened to the previous agreements?
You've hit on a key point, Sam. The existing bilateral agreements, despite their success, began to erode because the EU insisted on a new institutional framework for updating them. The failure to conclude such a framework in 2021 led to an impasse. This new package approach is the Federal Council's proposed solution to break that deadlock and modernize our bilateral path. The Federal Council explored several alternatives: doing nothing, which would lead to gradual erosion, a simple free trade agreement, which wouldn't suffice for a modern economy, or even joining the EEA or full EU membership, both seen as surrendering too much sovereignty. Ultimately, they concluded that a modernized bilateral path is the optimal solution.
So it's about a middle ground. What are the main components of this package approach?
Indeed, Sam. The package has 2 main parts: a stabilization part to update existing agreements, and a development part to expand cooperation into new areas. Crucially, all elements of the stabilization part must be approved together to come into effect, while development agreements can be approved individually, but only come into force if stabilization is accepted. This brings us to the core question of sovereignty and law. The institutional elements are at the heart of this new package. Instead of a single framework agreement like before, these rules are now integrated directly into the relevant market access agreements, allowing for tailored solutions.
What does that mean for adopting EU law? Does Switzerland just automatically adopt new EU regulations?
That's a critical point, Sam. Switzerland will be obligated to adopt relevant new EU law in the covered areas to ensure consistency, but it's not automatic. Our political process, including the possibility of a referendum, is fully preserved. Plus, a decision shaping mechanism gives Switzerland a formal say in the development of new EU legislation that affects us. It's about influencing, not just adopting. Let's pause for a moment to check your understanding of these crucial institutional elements. Which of the following is not a core component of the Swiss EU institutional elements in the new package?
This tests our understanding of sovereignty. I think I know the answer. This is important for Swiss citizens to grasp.
That's right, Sam. The correct answer is direct rulings by the European Court of Justice, ECJ, on disputes. The ECJ's role is strictly limited to interpreting points of EU law if asked by the arbitration panel. When disputes arise, there's a new, binding two-step process. First, a political phase where discussions happen in the relevant joint committee. If no solution is found, then it moves to the legal phase, where either side can refer the matter to an independent arbitration panel.
So the ECJ doesn't get involved directly in the dispute? How does that work?
That's a crucial distinction, Sam. The ECJ's role is strictly limited. It does not rule on the dispute itself. The arbitration panel can, but isn't obligated to, ask the ECJ for an interpretation of a specific point of EU law if it's relevant to the case. But the final, binding decision on the dispute always rests with the neutral arbitration panel, protecting Swiss legal autonomy. The Free Movement of Persons Agreement, or FZA, is undeniably one of the most sensitive areas for Switzerland. This package aims to preserve the benefits of labor market access while significantly strengthening protections for the Swiss system. A comprehensive three-pillar protection concept has been negotiated.
I know this has been a big point of discussion in Switzerland. How does this new concept address concerns about wage protection and social security?
Excellent question, Sam. Firstly, the core principle remains immigration is primarily labor market oriented. Our dual enforcement system by cantonal authorities and social partners ensuring same pay for same work at the same location is secured. Secondly, key Swiss exceptions are maintained, like the 4-day advance notification for posted workers and the financial deposit requirement for companies with past noncompliance. Most importantly, a non-regression clause acts as an opt-out, ensuring Switzerland doesn't have to adopt future EU rules that would weaken its existing wage protection. Think of it as a strong safeguard for our wage levels, similar to how we protect Swiss products with Swissness branding. Now, let's test your understanding of the free movement of persons. Which of the following is a key protection for Switzerland under the FZA in the new package?
This is a complex area, but I recall something important about future rules. Is it the non-regression clause?
You're absolutely right, Sam. The non-regression clause is a crucial protection. It ensures Switzerland doesn't have to adopt future EU rules that would weaken its existing level of wage protection. Beyond wage protection, a strengthened safeguard clause is pivotal. Switzerland can now unilaterally trigger a procedure if it faces serious economic or social problems due to immigration. If the EU disagrees, Switzerland can take the case to the arbitration panel.
That sounds like a powerful tool for Switzerland to manage unforeseen negative impacts. What about permanent residence and expulsion of criminals?
Indeed, Sam. It provides Switzerland with a robust mechanism. Furthermore, the right to permanent residence after 5 years is granted only to those who are economically active, preventing a direct path into our social welfare system for non-working individuals. And critically, Switzerland's constitutional provisions regarding the expulsion of foreign criminals are fully upheld. These are all significant advancements to protect Swiss interests. Let's turn our attention to the economic benefits and new deals. The package updates and secures 5 existing bilateral agreements and adds 3 entirely new ones. A major new element is the electricity agreement.
An electricity agreement? How does that benefit Switzerland, especially with our hydropower?
It's a game changer, Sam. It integrates Switzerland into the EU's internal electricity market. which is crucial for grid stability and security of supply, especially in winter. It gives our producers, particularly hydropower, better access to European markets and is expected to lead to more stable and potentially lower electricity prices. And key Swiss interests, like our system of regulated basic supply and cantonal sovereignty over water concessions, are protected. Beyond electricity, the package ensures Switzerland's full and systematic association with key EU programs, which is vital for our future. For instance, full association with Horizon Europe, the EU's research and innovation program, is planned to be retroactive to January 1, 2025.
That's fantastic news for Swiss researchers and innovators. What about students and young people?
Absolutely, Sam. Full association with Erasmus Plus for education, youth, and sport is planned for January 1, 2027. This means Swiss students, apprentices, and institutions will have full access to mobility and cooperation opportunities, moving beyond the current, more limited Swiss solution. It will significantly bolster Switzerland's position as a top location for research, innovation, and education. It's truly a billion-franc question for our future prosperity. Let's consider one of the new economic agreements. Which new agreement is crucial for Switzerland's grid stability and access to the EU's internal market for hydropower?
This one seems straightforward, given our discussion. I'd say the electricity agreement.
Correct, Sam. The new electricity agreement is indeed crucial for grid stability and better market access for our hydropower. Finally, the package formalizes the Swiss contribution to reducing economic and social disparities within the EU, often referred to as the cohesion contribution. For the first period from 2030 to 2036, this will amount to CHF 350 million per year.
Is that just a payment to the EU, or does Switzerland have a say in how it's used?
That's an important distinction, Sam. It's explicitly framed not as a payment to the EU budget, but as direct investment in projects in partner countries, often with the participation of Swiss expertise and companies. This approach strengthens our bilateral ties with those member states, ensuring a mutual benefit rather than just a one-way transfer. It reflects our deepened partnership. We've covered a lot of ground today, Sam. To summarize, this comprehensive package is designed to secure Switzerland's prosperity and stability by modernizing our bilateral path with the EU, while crucially respecting our core interests and political system.
So, it's about finding that delicate balance between participation and preservation. The legal certainty, improved market access, and strengthened protections for our specific interests all seem to point towards a forward-looking solution.
Exactly, Sam. It ensures legal certainty for Swiss citizens and businesses, enhances access to the EU's single market, strengthens our position in education, research, and innovation, and crucially protects key Swiss specificities through tailored exceptions and safeguards. It's truly designed to anchor our relationship in a predictable legal framework, protecting Switzerland from arbitrary political decisions. Thank you for joining me on this exploration.